right. And we're live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Just talking about farting at 40.
Yeah, talking about getting old because that's what we do. How's everyone doing? We've got Christian Humes here from the Unranked Podcast. Super excited. Happy to be here.
Up? Welcome. I'm pumped to be a guest, as I was telling you before in the pre-show. There's nothing. If anyone out there, you have a podcast, you want me to come on, unless it's insane, I'll probably do it. It's so much fun.
Being a guest is the best because you just sit back, relax. There's no responsibility. It's almost like being on a vacation. You just sort of like hang, and it's super fun.
You could be irresponsible. Like I could purposely just be entertaining, even though it makes things difficult for the host. Sometimes the guests, people love that. They love the chaotic guest where you never know where things are going to go next.
Yeah, sometimes I have to remind myself, I'm like, this isn't my show.
Right.
I was on one recently, and they were talking about how to pronounce different things in the UK, and I just pulled up Google Maps. And I'm like, hold on, everyone stop. I'm going to try and pronounce a bunch of shit. And I was like, I don't know if it's fun or not, but I'm having fun. And I was like, nah, this isn't my show.
That world's longest town?
They were mentioning that because there's a bunch of Welsh towns. I'm like, all right, let me see if I can pronounce some of these. And I was trying, but I wasn't doing well.
I watched the YouTube video. There's like a song, and it teaches you how to say it. And I watched it a few times, hoping to learn it. As my partner was just like, why do you need to know this? And I was like, because it's fascinating.
You're like, I need to flex.
I want to be able to, I want to pull it out one day. Like one day, I want to just like drop this thing and say it. And people will be very confused, and I will get a lot of enjoyment out of it.
Like,
right.
Yeah.
Why do we need to know anything? It's only so we can pull them out at random times and impress people. Yes.
That's why being a generalist is the best thing you can do. A jack of all trades.
That's how you win at Jeopardy. That's the trick. You just know a little bit of everything. At least that's what I've heard. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. Oops, that's loud. All right. Well, I think we're looking good. I think we're sounding good.
Are we?
Are we? Are we? Hello, Zenny. Hello, Noah. Hello, Wolf.
I haven't gotten to give Zenny her hello in a couple weeks.
Yeah. There you go. I tried doing it last week, but it was extremely delayed, and it was like the only thing I could find was like a tiger, so it wasn't the same. So I'm glad you're back,
What's
Justin.
up, Tiger?
To run the soundboard, which, full disclosure, Christian, there are a lot of farts on there. It's like morning radio.
That's awesome. What are you using for your soundboard setup?
It is Farrago, Farrago.
Are you just is it like it's just a virtual one? It's not a hardware.
Yeah, it's just on my desktop here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want like a hardware one. I want like a big, I want all the buttons and I've looked into it a few times. One day I'm just gonna do it. It would be really fun.
You should.
They had a great one when I went to school for radio, and when we had to do like one semester was you had to do practical
Doug
application. You had to do practical Doug. You had to do him, and I just sat there and fucked Doug over and over.
Nice.
That's how we met, actually.
Yeah,
nice.
And radio. No, but we had when I was doing my actual show, we had one of those touchscreen ones where you could like just swipe, and it was.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the ultimate.
Yeah.
The power that you have at the tip of your fingertips is just bad.
Yeah, I used an iPad one once previously.
Okay, yeah.
So I moved everything over to PC, and since then I'm not a very PC savvy guy. I've just been with Apple stuff for too long. So after a short period of trying to find a good new solution, I just gave up for it. But the iPad one, when I was doing it off of the Mac, was awesome because it did have that ability for me to just set as many like pages as I wanted to of soundboard files, which was.
Do you remember what the one
great.
You were using on your iPad?
It was literally just called Soundboard, and then they never made a new version when they moved over to 64-bit only on Mac, and so that was it. That just killed it. Like the app didn't even pair anymore to the computer.
There's got to be a good PC one. I'm in the same boat. Like I'm definitely a Mac person, and I can't. I use PC in my 9 to 5, but it's like in a very limited capacity. Anything creative is done on this computer.
It's because I know how to problem solve on the Mac, and I don't like feeling stupid when I use Windows. There's nothing complicated about Windows. I just don't know it. I know everything backwards and forwards on the Mac. And when I use the computer and I feel powerful, it's great. When I use the computer and I feel like an idiot, I hate it. So I don't like to use the PC except for like Steam and recording.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I was when someone handed me a Mac a couple years ago for work. They're like, here you go. And I'm like, where's the menu button? Like, how does everything open? I felt really dumb. And I was like, and as I got a little more comfortable, I'm like, I do like the gestures and things you can do to move around and whatever. But I felt really dumb. I was like, okay, I don't like this.
When I work, I run 2 computers. I have my PC up, which I have like TV shows and stuff going while I work on one screen. And then I have my Mac, which is what I work off of on the other. This is like the best thing that's actually like made it much better for me. I got the Logitech MX, which does like the Mac and the PC.
Oh, cool.
And the same with the mouse. And the mouse, they have like a software if you're signed in on both. So if I just like take my mouse and go to the left-hand side of my PC screen, it'll jump over to the Mac.
Oh, cool.
So that's awesome.
And then it'll tell the keyboard to do it. So it just does it automatically. And it'll let me copy paste stuff because like all my passwords are saved in the keychain on the Mac. So like I don't have them stored all on my Windows computer because I'm not going to go and sign into everything on there like an idiot. So it's just every now and then when I need stuff, it makes it much better.
So the copy paste, it actually copies it to the keyboard memory and it pastes it back up. That's insane. I love that.
It's brilliant. I love it.
Oh.
Well, now that Justin's fully erect,
he's ready to go do Doug again.
Come on over, baby. By the way, Justin, the chat's saying you look 80% more Michigander. Justin just moved to Michigan, so
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So now, I
got a lot of Sherpa line stuff now, and I've got flannels in my closet.
Acclimating well.
Noah said door in the background, very Michigan. So,
Where were you prior to Michigan?
Chicago.
Okay. All right. So you were somewhere it was cold before at least too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So he just recently moved up there. So, I miss you, buddy. Miss you. It's okay, though, because we still have this.
You'll always have Practical Doug 101.
Always have Practical Doug. All right. I think it's time to get this show on the road. Here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I'm Doug.
I'm Justin.
And joining us this week is a wonderful human. You may know him from the Unranked Podcast. Please welcome Christian Humes.
Hey, how you doing, everybody?
I also missed that soundbite. I didn't have that before. So when you were gone, Justin, so I had some awkward air horn that didn't really work. But anyway, enough about me. Christian, welcome. Thanks for coming.
I'm very excited to be here. I'm ready to get. Honestly, I thought for a moment just before that we were ready doing the show.
I know, right?
And that's so.
That's a good sign.
Again, I was like, okay, let's go.
I was like, oh wait, we should probably start because we're already comfortable and this is good. This is a good sign. I think this is going to work out really, really well. So we're super excited to have you here. We got lots to get into. So before we get started, let's just get through a little bit of housekeeping. We'll get it out of the way. We'll get it done. First things first. If you guys have not checked out The Fumbling Four and the Almighty Crit, it's a wonderful Dungeons & Dragons podcast. Season 2, Episode 1 is already out there featuring Justin and I. There you go. We're playing two gremlins, Root and Rut. Season 2, Episode 2 comes out on Friday. That's right, this coming Friday, which is March the 4th. Episode 2 also featuring Justin and I. It's a great one. We had a lot of fun. Please be sure to check that out wherever you get your podcasts. It's a really good show. We had a lot of fun doing it. It was Justin's
first actual official D&D playing time. I don't words.
Experience, role playing.
Yep, that's it.
This would be another good place for that applause.
And it's what just came out of my mouth. We've done the D&D Light with the Dungeon Karens, and this was my first official full D&D game. So this was a lot of fun. I can completely understand the draw now, and I think I'm slowly being turned. Doug has been chipping away for a long time, and he's starting to make headway. He's getting me to see the D&D Light.
Yes. So it was super exciting. Check out that episode. Go ahead and check out episode 1 of season 2 already if you haven't, to get ready for episode 2, because it's going to be good. It'll be fun to get caught up. Second thing, if you like what we're doing here, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/mindgappodcast. We've got 2 tiers, a $1 tier and a $5 tier. Whatever you want, support us there. We appreciate it. And shout out to our patrons, Wolf's Lore, Tom McIntyre, Richie Armour, Zinni, Slutty Bartfast, and Almighty Crit. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast on Patreon. We appreciate it. If you're thinking, man, Doug, that sounds great, but I would like to wear something that says Mind Gap Podcast on it, well, head over to redbubble.com, type Mind Gap Podcast in the search, and you'll find a whole array of great stuff for you to pick up that is Mind Gap. Hats, t-shirts, tote bags, you name it. It's all right there for you to pick up and support us and just show the brand. If you're thinking, Doug, listen, times are tough, pandemic. It's really rocking me right now. I don't have any dough to sling your way. How can I support? Hit like and subscribe right here on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/mindgappodcast. Costs you nothing, means everything to us. It's a huge help. Also, check out our Discord server. Link is in the description down below in our on our YouTube channel. Come join the wonderful folks, the people you hear all the time about, Zenny, Slotty, Wolf's Lore, Noah, you name it. They're all in there. They're hanging out with us. Jared, all the way from Australia. We're setting up game nights. We're sharing memes. We're having a good time. Come join the Mind Gap family. And last but not least, we live stream every Tuesday at 8 p.m. for the podcast, and every Saturday night I host a video game live stream right here on our YouTube channel, 8 p.m. Central, both nights. Come hang out with us. Come check us out. We just did our Dungeons & Dragons, the fantasy adventure board game with the Dungeon Karens last Saturday. Woo! I thought it was going to be the last episode, but they're still going, and it's getting tense, gang. It's getting tense. The Dungeon Karens are in quite the predicament. I think they're going to make it, but we'll see.
We're not. It's going to be a total party kill. We are going to fucking die.
Yeah, it's definitely we'll see.
We're in a very precarious position right now.
It's gonna be exciting. We're gonna come back to that in a couple of weeks, but in the meantime, check out some of the other fun stuff that I'm hosting every Saturday, 8 p.m. All right, enough about us. Housekeeping done. Let's talk about Christian. Christian, welcome, and thank you so much again for being here. If you haven't listened to Unranked Podcast, what are you doing? If you like games, even just a teensy bit, Christian and the crew, featuring Tom Caswell, who've already had on here, they know I consider... Let me take that back. Let me walk this back before I even put anything out there. I'm a casual gamer. I used to think I was a hardcore gamer, but I've been pretty casual over the years. And when I listen to Unranked, I'm like, I know nothing about what's going on with the video game industry whatsoever. And you guys know it like the back of your hand. And it comes through, it's passion that you guys love this, and it's really cool to listen to. And you just had, what, episode 317?
312.
317
very soon. Yeah. 17th is our 7-year anniversary. That was the thing I was just telling you.
That's right. I got those things.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because I think we're very middle of the road going for like the enthusiast market. So not quite like hardcore, because I think those people are going to like, you know, the giant bombs, the waypoints, the polygons. That's where, because they need like, they want the hardest hitting like takes on everything. You know, people that have played like 80 hours of the newest game every week already.
Yeah.
We're kind of driving that middle line. Like, we are playing the new games as they come out, and we're keeping track of the news and kind of like talking about it in very much like the same way we would when we were younger and in school and had a lot of time dedicated to the thing, you know?
Yeah.
So it does take a little bit of work, but we're definitely not like at that high. I think we're not impenetrable, at least, though, is the goal, you know?
Yeah.
So I like to think we're like kind of in that nice little middle area. Lately, it's been tough. There's so many games that come out. It's really hard to keep up. There's so many video games.
I'm not envious of you all trying to keep up with this stuff. Yeah. I've gotten again, I have certain games that I enjoy. Like, Elden Ring's not my style, so I'm like, you all go have fun with that. I'm more of a Total War, Warhammer 3 kind of guy, so I've been dabbling with that. But the sheer amount of stuff, the memes I've seen where people are like, it's only February and we've had X amount of games that have come out. Yeah. They're like, I'm not going to have enough time to get through all this. Do you think that's actually a problem, like within the industry? Like, is this...
Well, no, because they're all catering to different people, right? Okay. Like, it's a problem if you're trying to be an influencer or a streamer, or you're trying to break into the industry, or you work in the industry, because it's suddenly those things are less fun for you. And that's why like Unranked, we try to like still walk that line of like keeping up, but we're not trying to like fight for our space. Like we're trying to carve our own little spot where like we're doing well enough that like we can have guests from like, you know, gaming publications and like G4, they come on, like, so we're well enough that they will think of us highly enough to be a guest, but we're not trying to compete with them. So like we're not making it miserable for us in the way that I know a lot of people that work in that industry and they don't enjoy playing a lot of the games that they're playing because they can't, because they're like, well, I wanted to spend this weekend with my family, but I'm going to be in this MMO for 48 hours. So I'll see you next week.
I just thought about that.
Yeah.
If that was my job where I was like, hey, listen, I've got to play this game and hopefully I'm into it, because if not, I've got to give it the 40 hours it deserves to be able to write a review of it, and also maybe not even finish it, right? I mean, what are the odds they finish those games? Probably not high.
And they're also like, unfortunately, they lose a lot of the special moments because to get through them as fast as possible, they're, you know, talking to other people that are reviewing it, or if it's one of these games, more and more games now, they're playing them at the same time it's released because they're live games. So, you know, they're not up and running until launch day. And so then they're like on the internet, like reading what other people are doing so they can get through stuff faster and faster and faster because they just have to see it. You know, it's like you have to be able to review this game and make videos and stuff. So you just have to get through the thing so you can do the actual part of your job, which is then like putting those videos together or writing your 2-page document or whatever it may be. And that's something I really don't have any interest in. I think there's other forms of entertainment in gaming, which is why like we're going to comment on the news, we're going to talk about a bunch of bullshit, and then we're going to like play trivia-based games and stuff. Like, you know,
hands down, my favorite part
approach
is when you guys play the games. You have so much fun. They're highly entertaining, and
Thank you.
It's something. Again, if you guys have not checked out Unranked Podcast, you're missing out. You got 312 episodes to get caught up on.
Knock that off.
I'm sorry.
That'll be true in a couple weeks.
Listen,
like,
inflation's a real deal, Justin. All right, read the news for once.
We're gonna hold this episode until they hit 317, and then we're gonna. The only way it'll make sense.
Something else I saw was that you are also creator of Harmony Echoes of Power. Tell us a little bit more about that. What is Harmony Echoes of Power?
It's a game that, if there weren't a pandemic, would be out. I was actually getting ready to launch it at the end of 2019, and I just I had bit off a little bit more than I could chew, and so I wasn't going to be able to launch the Kickstarter before holiday. At which point, like, launching your game then, unless you're a well-known, you know, people are like, oh, this is a sequel to a game or there's a publisher we love. It's just not going to happen. So I was like, okay, I'm going to wait. I'm going to do some more game testing, update the game, because ultimately the Kickstarter was also to pay for enough to finish the game, because I spent quite a bit of money like on artists and making prints and everything to like get it to the point where it's a playable version. Then the pandemic happened and I couldn't play test it anymore. I did get a virtual version going for a little bit, but it doesn't give me the feedback that I need to like correctly, because the game that I'm building is sort of it's meant to be a cross between like Uno and Pokemon, where
you had me at Uno.
I want to make a entry level monster battling card game.
Okay.
That doesn't require the thing that I hate about all card games, which is pretty much people paying money to have the better decks. Like, you shouldn't be able to win a game because you have more money. I think that's like, that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
It's basically how our country runs. You know, if you
I was
have
like,
more money,
tell that to any baseball team like the Yankees, right? They have more money. They'll just buy what they need.
Well, you can have a lot of money and be stupid. That's also true. You know,
yeah, very true.
You can't buy intelligence, but man, there's just there's a lot of people like they don't have a lot of money, especially like as a kid. You don't have a lot of options. Like I remember as a kid, like when I got Pokemon cards, like I couldn't be buying packs all the time like other people I knew. And so it takes away some of the magic from it. So I wanted there to be the simple thing. And because Pokemon, even Magic, there are variations where people can play in like groups, but they're primarily a 2-player game. Mm-hmm. None of these systems are really based around like a group. And so it's like there needs to be something that's like let's play Pokemon. It's the biggest franchise in the world. It's worth more than Marvel. It's worth more than DC, Star Wars, Harry Potter, pretty much combined almost. Like, it's worth that much money, but there's no like real experience other than maybe Pokemon Go where people could be like, hey, let's play this game together. That is like also works for like the adults who like maybe grew up with it and they're kids now. There's nothing that fills either of those niches. So I wanted something that you just buy one box, all the cards are there, and like you take it out and everyone gets their like hand dealt out to them, and then it's a very simple like turn-taking game like Uno, where like you're really only responsible for doing one thing each turn. So it's like very simple. So like, you know, it could be a party game. Like you can be hanging around at a table, having drinks or eating food, and I can't test that in a virtual way. There's no way to see how that works.
Right.
So as of now, it's on pause, also because of shipping. Right now, it's very difficult to get your games made. Yeah. I've bought quite a few from Kickstarter that were towards the beginning of the pandemic that were basically complete. These were from publishers who finished the game. They were just, you know, it was like a designer went to publisher. They were going to publish it on their behalf. So they do the Kickstarter, everything else, and they get a percentage of it. It took them like 14 months to get me one of those games. And they have like a pipeline. They have the relationships with the places that, you know, print the cards, that make the boxes. I don't have any of that. So trying to do that right now, even if I began and did the Kickstarter at the beginning of the pandemic, it wouldn't even be available. So I was like, I'm just going to wait till things settle down and just kind of put it on ice. So, but
I got to say, I hate deck building games.
Yeah.
But I love, I mean, this isn't a deck building game based on what you're saying, but I love I don't, deck buildings, I just, you know, I've played Hearthstone. I've dabbled a little bit with Magic the Gathering, and I'm always just like, this is too much, man. I don't, you know, and the idea, it's same thing with those. It's like, oh, do you want to buy the, you know, you want to spend the money to essentially get what you want, or to hopefully get the legendary card that's going to give you the ability to do that ass whooping that you've always wanted to do, you know? And I'm like, because I've done that. I Hearthstone, I play against the computer for a while, and then I'm like, you have to play against other people to earn these things, and someone just has these legendary cards. I'm like, I don't even know what to do with this. Like, I lose because I didn't buy anything. Like, it's so defeating.
I got burned on Hearthstone too, especially because it felt like at the beginning they were being smart about the way they were introducing cards and the way you could like unlock and get them. So it's like, okay, if you put in the time, you're not really gonna have to buy cards, but then they just start putting out new decks and then being like, the old ones are going in the vault. We're not using those cards. And I'm like, okay, I'm out. Like, I'm out. Like, it's, again, you're not building a game for the game. You're building a game to make money.
Yeah.
And I understand that's the point of these companies. And I'm like, well, but my job isn't being a game developer, but I have an idea for a game that I think would be fun for everyone. Sure, I can make money off of it, but I'm not building this to build a pipeline to just get more and more and more money out of people.
Right.
But like, how also talk about building brand loyalty too. Like, if people, because you know it from Pokemon to any of the other ones that you had mentioned, people are very aware that the prime directive of those are to make money. Like it is a company, a money making company at the core. And for something like yours, like, what a great, if people knew that it was made purely because you were a fan of this type of game, or you wanted to do it to service the fans, like that is going to create such a different era of brand loyalty about the game. So it really in itself is a great business model.
Thank you. Again, I don't even I thought about it. There was a point where I was like, I have other ideas for games. And like, if I do this and it goes well, like maybe I'll do those. But at the same time, like, I don't think I want, just because kind of like how I was talking about working in games, I don't think I want that to be my job.
Yeah.
I want that to be like, oh, wow, I got to contribute something to this industry that I love. But I'm still going to primarily just like reap the fruits of everyone else's labor.
Sure.
Instead of like making that my work. Actually, I raised my table so that I could show you. I actually have a copy of it if you want to see.
Well, first of all, I see a classic Nintendo Entertainment System, so kudos to you, sir.
This is actually the Lego NES.
Oh, look at that. Holy shit, look at that.
You can see the...
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Cool
if you're just listening, tough shit. You should check out this video on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/MindGapPodcast.
It's like I've gotten that has been my my like crazy. People got into bread. I got into like Lego. during the pandemic.
God bless you, because bread doesn't keep you healthy,
Well, no, I mean, I got into bread. I just didn't make it. My partner made it. I gained a lot of bread weight during the pandemic. Actually.
You and me both. He's got, if you're just listening, he's got such an amazing wall. He's got like a Dharma Initiative poster. He's got a cool Mario painting. He's got some cool stuff over there.
Oh, are you a fan of Lost? I'm assuming,
Well, here's the thing.
Did you see it?
Here's the thing. I have seen Lost. Was I a fan? I've rewatched it. I watched it all the way through. I rewatched it again because I tried to find the exact point where it went off for me. And Justin raises his hand. Yes, Justin?
Season 4, episode 3.
There you go.
I put it down and never came back to it.
Episode 3.
It was the point. I don't remember what it was. I just distinctly remember it was season 4, episode 3, and I went, I'm done. This is too much. I don't want it anymore.
I definitely, for me, it was when I think it was when you showed the others on the people who were working there and how Jack and all those people were hanging out. It just seemed it started to get really convoluted from that point on of amongst other things, and then from season 4 was really off when the boat comes and
really? Oh, I love that season.
Season 5 was a wild one. I remember that was like, holy shit, there's stuff happening. Definitely. But then season 6 was just also because that was a classic show of if people literally just would have talked to each other. Everything would have. There would have been no conflict whatsoever.
That's most things. Though.
It is most things. You're right.
That's most ever, especially any old sitcom. It's you can't make any of these episodes again.
Yeah.
Right. I was just listening to a podcast. They were talking about how writers are really having to get creative now because so much of what used to be conflict in story up through the early 2000s is now completely solved with the advent of the internet and cell phones. All of that, all of those issues now just right out the window.
You just have to do things
I don't have cell service. That's
exactly.
Yeah.
Or the character got pushed in the pool earlier and it just seemed like a gag, and then they go to pull their phone out and it's dead now. And it's oh no.
We eliminated the problem. We got rid of the technology.
Exactly. Stuff like that has to happen. Otherwise, I was actually just on a podcast recently called You Can't Make That Anymore. And it's essentially about older movies that you can't make today. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons sometimes shows come on is because of the internet, you could never make this game anymore because you couldn't make this show because everyone has access to information. It would have taken someone a 30-second Google to stop this movie from happening.
Yeah.
So I have an early prototype. I'll just show you.
Yeah, please.
If you're curious, but so the way it would work, it's not a deck builder. It's what's called a trick-taking game, which, by the way, poker is a trick-taking game. It just means that you make a move. You have a hand of cards. So the central theme is you're dealt your monsters at the beginning, so everyone gets their monsters. You can only play one at a time, so it's very everyone knows what everyone has. There's nothing complicated on it. And then you have a hand of 5 cards that have different things if someone attacks does an attack card to you, you have an evade card or a reflect. And then it's which is where the Uno concept comes in. Instead of in Uno where you think of it almost like an economy and you're trying, it's first person to get rid of all their money wins is sort of what Uno is.
Yeah.
In this, you're trying to bankrupt everyone else by hitting them enough so that their monster falls and then you're the last one standing.
Gotcha. So if you're almost forcing them to play certain cards or whatever, and then if they don't have any more evades, they're going to take hits, and then gotcha. Right. That's cool.
Or they might want to take a hit because they're well, I'll survive because I'm not going to spend my one play right now on a defensive move because I can knock out the next guy on my turn instead.
Right.
So it's just
interesting.
You just look at and you only have 5 cards, so you're it's very simple. As it you take a new one after you play one, but you never have a lot to think about. They're all very straightforward.
Now you're speaking my language. Not a lot to think about.
Saying I'm getting interested in this game.
And can you show us one of those cards? Those are beautiful, man. Those are really well done.
So it's called, the reason I called it Harmony is the typings that I chose and came up with. I built it around the central theme of there's one which is almost like an avatar typing, which I call harmonic, and the rest of them are different resonant frequencies on a kind of energy. So then and this is how simple they are. They just have how much health they have, and it tells you what their damage values are. So
that's really cool.
Harmonic has no advantages over other ones. But then the others have the rock, paper, scissor sort of theme that like Pokemon has, where it's like, okay, this one does -2 damage to other ones. This one does -1 damage to those. And it just tells you which two are good against it or bad against it kind of a thing.
That's cool.
Fascinating. You see that when you go walk around Target or whatever, and you see so
many games.
Yeah. So many games.
Yeah.
How did you come up with? Because I'm always fascinated with the concept that I'm like, there's people who just sit around going, "You're gonna be it for a game," and they make it, and now it's out in the shelves. Like, it seems like an overwhelming prospect to come up with all the rules and all the variations and the pluses and the minuses and all the I don't like math. How did you come up with the game?
So this will make you mad.
Good.
A lot of my best ideas I come up with in the shower or in my sleep. Like I wake up. So this game actually among one other also, which is like if I can make something else, if I do this, and then I'm gonna make something else. I know what that is. On Unranked, I have a segment called Game or No Game, which we do sometimes, where I take 5 game titles and then I give the actual summary to them as well as a fake one. Sometimes I'll come up with a game title, so both are fake, so they have to be like, this isn't even a game at all. This one, I just wrote the word Pokermon, and then I was like, oh, it's like a combination of poker and Pokemon, where you're playing cards, you have a hand of 5 cards, and you have to battle it out. And originally, I actually did have my first version, I literally took a deck of poker cards, and I just assigned like point values to them, and those were the monsters. So it was like, the way it originally worked was like, if you win the battle, you get to choose which poker cards were played, and whoever builds the best poker hand wins. It ended up actually being too complicated, mixing 3 games, so I pulled poker out. I was like, well, I have Uno, poker, and Pokemon. It's actually too much going on. And then, so that, like, I just wrote that. It wasn't very fleshed out. And then when I woke up the next morning, I was just writing in my notes because I played the game in my dream. And then,
wow,
there you
That's
go.
incredible.
That's ADD.
No. Yes,
well, you're harnessing it for good, so way to go.
I nothing makes me happier and more jealous. Like, not angry, but just jealous when people are like, I woke up and I had this, like, for people have like that. I woke up and I just started writing lyrics to this song that became, whatever, Best of You. And I'm just like, fuck you, Dave Grohl.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just like, I love that inspiration comes in your subconscious, and you were able to harness it, because, man, I don't remember anything from my dreams. Good on you for being able to wake up and be like, I have a full game.
Yeah. Well, my partner was like, oh, what is it now? Because I was like, it was like 6:30 in the morning. She wakes up and I'm sitting up on my phone, just furiously typing. And she was like, what are you doing? I was like, I have a new game. I just came up with it. Let me tell you the whole game. And I'm just like reading these rules, which at the time, because it was just like, I had it like, it was very cloudy, but I'm just like writing it down. I'm like reading it out. I'm like, I'm like, this doesn't make sense, but I know what this means. And I'm going to go put it together.
That's incredible. And honestly, I look forward to, if you don't know, that's fine. But when do you anticipate this, becoming available? Because I want to pick up a copy.
Well, so shipping and things have gotten a lot better recently. There's still long delays, but now, like, for a while, I couldn't even print a prototype. So I've actually recently just ordered what I'm hoping is the final prototype. And I did take care of like getting a bunch of other artwork done and like making some updates to it. So if this new one that comes, which now, things are okay, I'm like able to see friends again, I'll be able to play test it. And then hopefully I can I'm hoping before the end of this year is what I'm hoping.
Fantastic.
But this time I'm not going to announce anything until I'm like 100% certain.
That's awesome.
That's not, yeah.
Where if people want to keep like tabs on like when they would possibly be able to know this would come out, where could they go to check it out?
My Twitter, just Christian_Humes. That would be the easiest, because I might change the name of it because like over time I've just been reading like about names. Like it's like I have all this extra time, so I didn't want to do nothing with it. And it's the name makes sense to me, but I think it's actually not very marketable. So I'm trying to come up with. I have some other options I'm kicking around, but that means then I have to have the logo remade, and so we'll see.
Well, allow me to throw a name in there. Just whatever. It's Hank the Tank's Wild Ride. I think that's got a real. It's got a real marketable thing. Has nothing to do with the game. But
it has nothing to do with Mr. Frog's Wild Ride either, right?
No,
Is it?
no,
Okay.
not at all.
That's the Missouri ad executive coming out of Doug.
Tell you what people like. My buddy Hank and Tanks. And they love going mudding. When it's mudding out there, they get in the truck and they spin around. It's a wild ride. There you go. People gonna buy it. They go do it.
So is this like a start to finish style board game, like Chutes and Ladders, where there's like donuts and mud circles, and if you land on the wrong spot, it spins you back to the other side of the board, and then you have to restart it again?
There you go. Yeah. It's like, oh, you hit a deer. That's a bonus because now you've got me.
I love this.
Fantastic.
This is our new segment called Christian Makes Us a Game.
Yes. I love it. Yeah. We'll just tap you and be like, Christian, we need a game. Give us an idea. And you're like, cool. I got it. Bam. Here you go.
What can you do? Jared brings up in the chat. Good. What would the game Uncle Doug's Puzzle Basement look like?
Uncle Doug's Puzzle Basement.
By the way, Uncle Doug's Puzzle Basement Fights is what he says. But I guess
I'm dropping that.
You're dropping that. Just Uncle Doug's Puzzle Basement. What's that game?
What's that game?
So my first instinct would be to make something based on like 13 Dead End Drive. I don't know if you've ever played this game, but it's one of those board games that like actually has like 3D pieces. Like, you'll stand like a backup to it.
Okay.
And it's sort of a reverse Clue where instead of you're solving a murder, there's like traps and things so like people can get killed during the game. I think Uncle Doug's Puzzle Basement should have like traps, secret doors, secret rooms, and you've got to collect. It's like you go into the basement one at a time. You take turns. So it's like on my turn, I get to enter the basement and I get to try and find something. And maybe I get the flashlight. So like the lights are off when you're in the basement. It's like now on my next turn when I go in, I'm going to be able to look around in the room. So you remember those boards that were like red with like the blue?
Yes.
And you used, I would be something like that maybe involved. So like the flashlight unlocks those things. So now I have a big advantage because I can see where certain items are. And there's going to have to be some kind of a puzzle. There's like 3 pieces of something. Whoever gets all 3 first wins.
Can I make a slight adjustment? Instead of a flashlight, could it be a fleshlight?
In Uncle Doug's,
sitting with more of the history of Uncle Doug's.
Well,
puzzle.
I think that's actually a smart idea. But what you would do is you'd have both the flashlight and the fleshlight, so like, okay, there's only 4 places in Uncle Doug's basement where this can go. There's a game called Key to the Kingdom, which is really cool. You get these little pouches, right? And there's items, and the one everyone's looking for is called the key. Whoever finds Key to the Kingdom, if they get back to the beginning with it, they win. Uncle Doug's Basement would use a similar mechanic where all the different hiding spots at the beginning of the game, you shuffle all the cards, put them into the locations of the basement, and there's only 4 places where the flashlight or the fleshlight could be. So you might end up getting the fleshlight by accident while looking for the flashlight. And then you'd find 2 other cylindrical objects to have in there too that can give you different mechanics.
Someone please tell me you're writing this down because this all needs to happen.
I love Jared. Jared goes, the fleshlight glows because of all the bacteria. Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Jared, for throwing in this inside joke for our brand new guest. Appreciate it. It's an ongoing joke that's existed for a long time about Uncle Doug's
What
Puzzle.
is a podcast if not a series of inside
Right.
jokes?
That's what's great. Slotty goes, we're actually recording it. So, yeah, we got it. So,
Great. Oh, that's not good.
Well, I'm super excited for your game. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And I love Uno's big at my house. My daughter, she just turned 6. She loves Uno inside and out. That's her jam. The other half of that Pokemon is something I'm still wrestling with because I was bullied into getting Let's Go Eevee, a Pokemon game. I don't know what they're called. Anyway, but they're like, Doug, you should get Pokemon for your daughter because she would love it. And I'm like, I don't know. I guess she probably could. She'd love all the different creatures and Eevee looks cute. But I was like, this is a lot, man. This is a lot to really for myself because she's going to need help and I'm going to have to be there. And I'm also the kind of, I'm a gamer at heart where I'm like, listen, we got to do this the efficient way. We're going to do it right. We're going to get to the end of the game.
Max Pokemon.
Right. We got to min-max. It's like, what's this thing strong against? What's it weak against? We got to figure it out, And so I got it.
Doug had a spreadsheet out for her. He made it really fun.
Pokemon, though, is like the ultimate game to learn that kind of thing because the systems are really simple. So it is like my first, like min-max game if you really want to get into that.
Yeah.
Like it's a good way for her to start. It's going to be frustrating for you. But I imagine it's not about you at this point, really, is it?
No, it's not. And I keep telling myself it's not about me. But we got it. We put it on. very quickly she learned how to catch a Pokemon, which she loved. She was just very much like, although she did throw the controller, which I was like, please don't, be careful. And she's like, I gotta do it hard. I'm like, no, you don't. And she just chucked it. I was like, oh my God. And she just liked catching it to the point where I was like, can we please stop catching Rattatas and Pidgeys? Like, can we go forward? She's like, there's another one. I'm like, I don't know. Like, our party is 2 creatures. They're all the same, and they're leveling up. I don't know if these are good. I'm assuming they're not because they're starter ones. I don't know what exists in this game, but I don't know. But we're running out of balls. We have to get more Pokeballs. Like, I don't. And she's just like, gotta catch him. I'm catching him. I'm like, good.
She picked the thing up and just said, gotta catch them all, Dad. It says right here.
She's just doing this, and the whole time I'm sitting there going, I don't know if I can handle this, but she can't read all the words, so I have to like read the dialogue to her. I was like, I have to be here with her. And at the same time, I'm like, this is so much information. We go to a forest. I'm like, all right, cool. We've got Pidgeys, we've got some plant creature, we got Rattatatas, and then I don't know, whatever else we found. And then we go to this forest. I'm like, there's a bunch more. I'm like, I don't know what's good. Do we need to get all these? What should I be leveling up? Eevee's doing great, but I was like, I don't know. Yeah. Hey, you learned this new skill. Do you want to forget something old? I'm like, I don't know. Is quick attack better than one of these other things? I don't know. And
How old is she?
She's 6. She just turned 6.
Okay. So because that is a lot of dialogue then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I do good. Yeah. I do appreciate doing that stuff. I like doing voices, and I enjoy reading that stuff to her. Yeah. I have no problem with that, but this isn't necessarily. My wife's like, yeah, you're on your own on this one. I'm not helping. I have zero interest in anything to do with this. So my wife will play Animal Crossing with her and stuff, and that's like a good game for them, which is she's like, I'm out on this. Christian, I am dealing with a problem of there's this I don't know, there's this anger.
Unholy.
There's this anger in my chest about this because it's overwhelming to me. And
what's unfortunate is you're actually playing the game that's giving you confirmation bias, I think, on your fears of what Pokemon is. because Let's Go, so Pokemon Let's Go, Eevee, as you say, is the first game where catching them all is actually the core mechanic.
Oh.
Like that is like the beginning of the game. Typically in Pokemon, you'll meet the professor, which, like, if you just think about it as a JRPG, this is like the elder who's like, you have to go and save the land. And in this one, he's like, you should become the best Pokemon trainer and catch them all. But the end catch them all is probably done by like 1% of people that play Pokemon. Pokemon Go, the Pokemon, which is for the mobile, that game was primarily just catching. Like they didn't even have battling for a little while. It was like just catching.
Yeah.
They made Let's Go as a like, let's try and bring over all these people that played Pokemon Go that don't actually play the more video game version. And so they made an in-between where the core mechanic of the game you're playing is primarily just catching, and the battling has never been more minimized as either as the leveling or any of that. So it is really like, it is actually built for maybe like a 6-year-old to be able to hopefully understand, but it has got to be mind-numbingly boring.
I mean, after a while, when she kept, because a lot of it too is, you know, you sing the same animation over and over and over of like the ball slowly zooming in. Cool, you got it. Hey, opening up this screen. Hey, it's added to your inventory. Hey, I'm just like, but at the same time, I'm like, hey kid, if you're cool with this, I'm like, I don't know how big your bags are. I don't know how many of these Rattatatas you can pick up, but you know, go wild. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Do you sell them for cash? I don't know how it works. I don't know how this universe works. For meat.
It makes me wonder though, when we were younger, were we any better?
No.
Did we not just play the same segments of games over and over and over again?
Undoubtedly. And it was the games, like Nintendo games, were designed to be played over. They were not
really hard.
They were very hard. They were not riddled with cutscenes or anything. No. It was just, they were based on arcade games that were like had high scores for things like Ninja Gaiden, and you're like, what? Wow, I said Gaiden, really, really southern for some reason.
Y'all been Missouri.
Y'all been playing that Ninja Gaiden? Y'all been playing it? It's hard as hell. You get hit, you get knocked back, go right into the pit, and you're dead. But, you know, the idea that, that stuff really was super complicated. So I can only imagine. I remember specifically one time because the games had passwords, right? This all that really long, intricate passwords.
Yeah. Yep.
And one time we were playing Castlevania 2. My brother had written down this password, and his handwriting was awful. It was just absolutely atrocious. And we couldn't read what a couple of the characters were that he had written, and the password wasn't working. And my mom got so mad at him. I don't know why. She was just like, your writing is so bad. You're done. Go to bed. And she sent him to bed, and she told me to play it, but I'm like, but I don't know what the password is. We can't continue. I had to start over. But it's like, for some reason, she was just like, you piece of shit. You can't write the password down right. Go to bed.
Oh my God. She's like, get good.
Right? Write better. It's just, yeah. So to answer your question, no, it was no better. I feel like it's worse now because we have the technology to be better, but we choose not to. So
now, Doug, knowing from a practical standpoint, knowing that this game is designed like specifically for that, it's what is bugging you is the intent of the game. Does that make it better?
It does, actually. That does, Christian, that background does make it better, because I did notice, like, the catching mechanic is a lot of fun. Natalie really enjoys doing that. And the battling didn't happen for a really long time. Now, again, I don't know how quickly it happens in the games normally.
Oh, like right away.
Yeah, I was just like, okay. Well, I was like, we're not just supposed to catch these things, right? We're supposed to put them in the ring to fight each other. Like, when does that happen? And then it finally happened. I was like, oh, okay, here we go. But yeah, there's just the mechanic of actually doing that. I could see how this would be enjoyable for her, just to be like, cool, I'm catching. I'm like, great. You know what? That'll be cool. And then one of the assholes in the Discord sent her a fucking stuffed animal of Eevee to really seal the deal, and she loved it. She saw it. She's like, oh, I'm taking it to school today. I'm like, you bastards. Why? It is adorable, but why? Now, she's only played it once so far. Yep. She has not been like, Dad, let's play it again. That's kind of how she is. At some point, she'll be like, Dad, do you want to play this again? Like the other day, she's like, Dad, you want to play Minecraft? I'm like, we haven't played Minecraft in like 6 months. I don't even know what we were doing. I'm also bad at that game too. But I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And then she just was like kind of obsessed with it. Like, Dad, let's play Minecraft. So I have a feeling this might happen again, maybe?
Yeah. Maybe. The idea that Pokemon is a fad and is something that doesn't stay with you for life, I think, can be disproven now. I think once you're in Pokemon, that's it. You don't leave. You might like kind of stop a little bit, but at some point it's gonna bring you back. You're gonna be back. It's just once that switch flips,
I think that's what I'm afraid of.
Fully turn it off.
We've got a buddy, Chris Vellucci. We never mentioned him, and I've mentioned him twice in this podcast, but he has taught me that, because he is a Pokemon freak, and he fully admits, he's just like, I'm in my 30s now, and he's got the Pokemon pedometer that for the Pokemon Go game would track us, like give him more points or what. I'm like, you're lucky that you have a girlfriend. I can't imagine.
Women love Pokemon, man.
Yeah, right. How could you not? They're adorable. You know.
I didn't realize until I started hearing all of that. I never realized. I'm years late to the game, but never realized how popular it actually is.
I mean, it was the perfect idea. It was, what if we had cute animals? So it's like, yeah, women love cute animals, and they battle each other. It was like, boys like fighting. That was like in the 90s. Someone entered a room and said that, and now we're still talking about it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And the thing is, like, the switch hasn't been flipped yet for her.
Yeah,
and I don't know. Part of me would be okay. I think okay with it. I think I'm going to struggle with. I'm going to have to carve out some mental space for this, because I also want to be a good dad and also be able to. Because a part of me also wants to be a part of it, and that's the part I'm trying to silence. Is because I'm like, I don't need another thing. About I have enough.
It's so true.
I have enough nerd stuff in my life. I don't need Pokemon. I really don't. But I want to share that. That's the reason why I bought it. I was like, this would be kind of cool if Natalie and I together figured out this work, because I don't know shit about it. She doesn't know shit. I'm like, let's figure it out. Hey, here's a Rattata. I don't know. What does he do? Like, it'll be kind of fun. And also, Slotty was like, your birthdays and Christmases are good from now until ever. I mean, the toys you can buy them are just endless. So
my birthday being in late November is almost always on a large video game or console release. Like, so I have gotten many Pokemon like games and things throughout my life on my birthday.
That's amazing.
So that is definitely true.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm scared.
Do you have a Pokemon you like yet, design-wise? Is there one that you're like, oh,
it's hard to say because I've only seen a couple. I haven't seen a whole lot, and I know there's talk that, there's evolutions, and I don't know what those come out to be. People are talking about new stuff right now. Like there's 3? There was
they just announced what is the 9th. So each game, there's tons of Pokemon games, but there's only 8 generations of Pokemon. So a new generation is always dictated by like a core game where it's the actual like normal game where you get 3 new starters and it's a new location and you have a new championship to go beat. There's been 8 of those.
Okay.
So the 9th one was just announced. They're outside of one game. They've always been 3 years apart. So it's just on time. I think people were surprised by it. I was a little surprised by it, but I've still been saying it should, if they're on track, come this year because they just had a game come out, but it was, the thing about it is still kind of a side game, the one that came out. And I think it's just because of its scale. People thought it was something else, but I'm very excited. It's set up to take place. It's the new location. They always theme them on regions of the world. The first couple are like Japan. The recent one was London. This one is Spain. It's all like, so we haven't seen anything other than the starters and some images of it, but based on that, like everyone loves the starters, which is usually like, that's one of the things when they show off the new starters before they like really show off anything else. People are always kind of, hating on 1 or 2 and just immediately, gamers, we love to hate everything. So people this time, everyone loves all of them. I haven't seen anyone really say anything bad. I'm sure they exist, but primarily speaking, people are very excited for this game.
I think that's also something that just for whatever reason gets on my nerves irrationally is like people were posting about that in the Discord and I had no idea what they were talking about. I was like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Like it was like
Harry Potter house shit, to be honest.
Oh, without that, I mean, name any nerd. I was like, oh, this is what it's like when I'm talking about nerd stuff and my wife's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, right. Okay, now I get it. Because people will just list stuff. Like, so I just said in the chat, Doug is going to be a Gyarados guy. I don't know what that is. I have no idea. Everyone's like, yeah, I think I remember if in the Viridian Forest there's a rare encounter with Pikachu that you can get. It's like a 1 out of 152 chance that I don't know what you're saying. I know who Pikachu is, but I don't know what any of this is. And for some reason, hearing that string of stuff, I was like, eat shit. I don't know what you're talking about. Someone posted these 3 things, and like it was a cat, some weird dinosaur thing, and like a Donald Duck looking thing. Yep. And I was like, what are we looking at? I go, is this in my game? Like, I don't know what this is. And people are like, oh my God, this is losing minds. I'm like, I don't know. I think Noah was like, undoubtedly this cat is going to get turned into Rule 34. Undoubtedly it's going to happen. I was like, oh, probably.
Yeah. Anything that has fur.
What a good rule. I don't know if I've ever drawn that parallel, but that makes sense.
Yeah. That's like no one's saying that about the duck. Like feathers. First of all, who's out there making feather costumes? That's not going to be easy. That's not going to be comfortable. You think a fursuit's going to be hot? Put on feathers? That's not. No one's going to like that.
Yeah, because you want it to look good, right? And if you want to, feathers, you do a shitty job with feathers. That says a lot about you,
And the other one is based on what looks to be like a pepper and a crocodile. So it's going to have to be smooth. So like that's like a leather or like a latex fetish. That's not like furries. So, but if it's got fur, it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's definitely, well, it's a weed cat. I don't know. There's just a whole bunch of stuff.
People call it weed cat. I got shut down by it on people, but I prefer to call it cannabis kitty or cannabis cat. Ooh. I like the alliteration.
I do too.
That's just me.
Yeah, Noah says, I did see some Quaxley cock on Twitter. That's great. That's good to know. It's good to know.
Oh, right, because I think ducks have weird penises.
That's the
right?
corkscrews.
They have the corkscrew. Yeah. So, okay, no, they're definitely going to be Rule 34ing that duck. Yep.
Yeah. Just because the way that everyone slips into the Pokemon talk, and I just realized I feel like it is 100% a different language, and I'm like, I don't know.
But you will.
See, everyone says that. Everyone has said that. You will. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm resistant to it, but at the same time, I'm like, I have to accept that I probably will. And whether or not I like it.
It's like, I won't.
Don't fight it. Embrace it.
I'm trying to.
It'll be easier because just think about it this way. you're going to hear about this video game for at least the next 25 years of your life, just from your daughter.
Yeah.
From that alone, forget every other place you're going to see it, like the Discord.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot easier on you if you just learn what it is.
Yeah. I if anything, I could use it as a place to make jokes, and maybe get some other things, because the Pokemon world is just something that is like, there's a wall there. It's like calculus. At some point, I just was like, this is the wall. I'm not going to get past it. Whatever. I'm going to move on to something else.
You don't have to learn them all, though. That's the thing. The like impenetrable, there's like, because a lot of games don't actually have all of them catchable. You can trade them into them, but primarily the first 2 generations, because people my age grew up with them, they continue to put those in, like, because it's still meant to be a world, so you should see similar animals in same places. There shouldn't always be 100 new species every region, so they'll bring in older ones, and they bring in a lot of the favorites. So a lot of the Pokemon you're seeing right now is actually perfect for you, because Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu are remakes of the original Pokemon.
Okay.
Where they basically stripped down all the battle mechanics. They made it a lot easier to level up and like make your Pokemon strong, and then added all these catching mechanics. So the game is more based on catching them. So you're going to actually see a lot of the Pokemon that they're still like focus on a lot in modern games. So playing this game alone, when that new game comes out, you're gonna be like, I know what that is.
I don't know. I just my heart just filled up with rage, because I am gonna know what that is. I'm like, what?
But then you'll have new jokes you can make, because then even if you don't like Pokemon, now you'll know it. So then you can make really good jokes about Pokemon.
Or like, what am I gonna have to sacrifice as hard drive space in my brain to make room for whatever the hell Charizard is?
Yeah.
Like I don't,
That's my short-term memory. I'll remember all of this stuff, but if you want to know where my keys or my wallet is, or like, that is an almost impossible task for me.
Oh my God. Jared goes, someone needs to buy Natalie the Pokemon encyclopedia so she can teach Doug all about them. No, I will have to read it to her. And then
There's
that's
no reason to get a Pokemon encyclopedia. It changes like every year.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You've given me hope, Christian, and I appreciate that. You've helped calm me a little bit. You've inflamed some of the already existing rage just because of it is what it is. But at least, I don't know, this will be fun. Is it, again, I think it comes down to, it's not about me. It's about Natalie. Right. It's about her having a good time. You
really don't have any choice in the matter at this point. Pokemon's going to be in your life. So it's just right now, the decision you need to make is how you want to feel about Pokemon when it's going to be in your life for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I mean, there's worse things, right? There's way worse things. And Pokemon is it'll be fine. It's just, it's daunting. It's like someone being like, hey, dude, have you checked out this anime? It's got 500 episodes. You're like, ah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that was the thing I was going to say, but I didn't, because it was going to enrage you, but why not? I don't know if you ever heard of the anime One Piece, which I just recently watched. People always like to talk about how many episodes it has. It only had 1,000, 11 episodes. I watched all of it in just over 2 months. But Pokemon actually has 1,200 episodes. It has even more episodes than One Piece, because it's been running uninterrupted every year since the year the game launched. It's one of the longest running TV shows of all time. But people don't think about it because it's not this one arching story. It's like every time a new game comes out, they send Ash to the new region, and it's almost like you hit the reset button, but never totally, because he still every now and then brings his old Pokemon along, his old friends along and stuff, but for some reason, he's still the same age. He's like a 10-year-old kid. It's been going for 25 years. But
Pokemon's a world, it's weird world.
It's like Doctor Who meets Pokemon.
It is. Yeah. It is. In fact, yes, it is. I used to do a show. It's on semi-permanent hiatus until we can actually have a good schedule to do it again. But I did a show called Ultimate Fictional Character, which I was told is a little bit like the game at the end of this show, where we pit things against each other. Doctor Who won our first season and ended up going against Ash, actually, which was that was one of the most difficult choices I've ever had to make in my life.
Wow.
Talk about first world problems.
Listen, man, I don't know how to get Putin out of Ukraine, but I'll tell you what I did figure out is who would win in a fight between Ash and Doctor Who. All right? Yeah. Well, that's another question, actually. Is the anime, is the Pokemon show worth watching?
It wasn't until now.
Okay.
literally when the new game came out, they did something very unexpected, and they didn't just put him in a new region. They also re-summarized like the original episode of Pokemon, almost as if it's like a soft reboot. And they introduced a character that's like his actual rival that he like travels with in a way. But instead of them going after the same thing, they have very different goals. And so the new character's name is Go, and he's based on like the mechanics of Pokemon Go, and he catches Pokemon like crazy. And the biggest problem with Pokemon in the past was it felt like it was never going anywhere. And of course, he'd always get reset every time. And they were very cheap on Pokemon. Like you're getting like 1 or 2 different species in episode time, which is fine. You're giving each one its own centric episode, but evolutions like rarely happen because it's their moneymaker. The lower levels are often cuter, and they sell more toys. So like now, every episode it's like, oh, here's a legendary Pokemon, here's a mythical Pokemon. We're gonna have like 3 Pokemon evolve this episode. Ash is gonna do like 2 crazy battles this week. Like they have sped up the timeline on everything. It's actually been very interesting. And the way Netflix, because they're the ones distributing it in the US, it's not like Saturday morning cartoons. The animation's a lot nicer, and they put it in like batches of 12. So like every 3 months, there's new 12 episodes come out.
Cool.
It's called Pokemon Journeys. I would just say like anyone interested in Pokemon or did like the anime or thought about it, now is like the only time I'd ever say it's worth watching.
Okay.
All the old stuff is primarily, old Saturday morning cartoon. Yeah. It wasn't Batman the Animated Series. It was
Gotcha. It was that classic.
You were gonna say, now it's worth watching because you finally have enough episodes to binge to make it worth it. Yeah, you just blew through 10, but now you've got 1,200 and you're good to go for a while.
Yeah.
I've seen almost every episode of Pokemon, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would really just say, outside of the new stuff, just skip it.
Okay.
Skip all of it.
I did see Detective Pikachu just
that was
by
pretty
itself.
Good.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I was like, I'm sure there's a bunch of Easter eggs in here that I don't get. I don't understand these references, but I found it enjoyable. I liked, it was cool. I was like, okay. I don't know.
Ryan Reynolds was a surprisingly good choice.
Yeah. And I also like the kid that played the lead in it too. He's a really great actor. I forget his name, but he was really awesome. Good. It's very interesting.
Justice Smith.
Yes, that's his name. Yeah, he's a really great actor. It's very enjoyable. So, all right, Justin, I got bad news for you, buddy. If I've got to learn it, it's also going to waterfall right down to you, buddy.
I have gotten really good at tuning things out, Doug. I haven't paid attention to most of this episode. So.
You know how I slowly worked D&D into your life? Well, guess what?
Yeah, here's the thing. That's not going to happen. If you crack me on Pokemon, you deserve some sort of like presidential award or something.
Here's the thing. I don't know how I could really pull this off to like logically be like, Justin, I think I know how you should check this out, and here's why. I don't think I could give you a logical reason to make it happen. I don't think I could.
The mental gymnastics on that, like that would be beyond parkour. Like you would need superhuman, like you need to Iron Man that shit.
Do you like RPG games?
No.
Okay, so then, that's basically do you like Super Smash Brothers?
Love Super Smash Brothers.
Well, you could get into those Pokemon. Like that's a good entry point for people that don't like Pokemon. Just like fight with Pikachu, get to know Pikachu a little bit.
Pikachu is one of my least favorite characters in Super Smash Brothers. It's Kirby all day.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I like Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff's underrated.
Yeah.
Actually, I do admit Jigglypuff is underrated.
Yeah.
I was, I like little pink puffballs. What are you going to do?
So here's a Pokemon fact for you. Jigglypuff, it's actually not Jigglypuff, but it's another one called Clefairy. It looks very similar. It's a pink round circle. This one has like a different hair tuft thing going on, but it also has ears. So it's similar though. But that Pokemon was originally gonna be Clefairy was gonna be the main mascot that they were trying to push, not Pikachu.
Interesting.
But Pikachu, because Pink, the reason that, and I found this out recently, Pink is in Japan like meant to be very cute, and like it also is like mystical or magical, like kind of things like that, which is why like in anime there's a lot of like pink blob creatures or pink ball creatures. I just started noticing at one point while I was watching different animes, I'm like, why is this across like every genre it shows up? anything that has some kind of a creature or character that doesn't look human, there's always like a pink, either amorphous or ball one. So that was what they were going with. And then I guess people saw Pikachu, and then it like immediately they just dropped that Pokemon from being the like primary suspect, and they put Pikachu as like Ash's partner and made Pikachu the one to go with.
Interesting.
Which it's crazy to think now, with Pikachu being probably the most recognizable character of all time. So
yeah,
I feel like Pikachu, joking aside, Pikachu is up there near Mickey as far as like,
absolutely.
Like,
yeah,
I mean,
it's worth more money. Pikachu is literally like worth more money than Mickey or Minnie Mouse.
That's still blowing my mind.
Yeah,
I don't doubt it. It's just really hard to wrap my head around that.
They're the Disney of video games. That's what Nintendo is. You know, they're like, we're putting it in our vault. We'll let you play it again in like 2 systems. We don't do backwards compatibility. We'll bring it back as a remake, and then you can play it again when you're older.
They lock it. They lock it away.
Yep.
They make it. They create that. What is that? Scarcity with it. You know, bastards.
But it's too good for me to skip. I can't fight it. I don't have the strength.
It's nostalgia. Again, like I get it. There's certain things where, I went and watched the Warcraft movie. I knew there was a good chance it was going to be bad, but God damn it, I grew up with that game. I love the MMO. I was like, I'm going to watch this movie. It was on sale for $5 recently. I bought it. I was like, this isn't a great movie, but God damn it, if I don't love the World of Warcraft, it's so great. And I look at it being like, God, this was a missed opportunity. This movie was, but so it's the same thing. Like I get it. If something that you like, you see it, like, ooh, you're going to be drawn to it because there's a connection to it, to your childhood or something, and I get it, and I understand.
that right there is actually like an equivalent for me where I never played Warcraft.
Mm-hmm.
So when that came out, I was like, what the fuck am I going to watch this fucking Warcraft movie? It's like,
absolutely.
The CG doesn't even look that great.
It's
like
not.
Parts of it definitely did, but there's so much that there were so many parts that we were like, okay, well, why not just put this in the video game instead? Because it doesn't look real in so many parts. But I might play him one day. I might play, because I'm just hoping, with this Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard buyout, I would assume that would mean I would be able to play Warcraft via Game Pass.
Yeah.
So their numbers have gone way down at this point. So what better way to bring new subscribers in than to suddenly you don't need to pay for a Warcraft subscription if you have a Game Pass subscription.
Boy, what a weird time to hop into it. There's a lot that's happened.
But that's kind of why I was like, yeah, like why not? Why not? If it's already going to be there, but I don't think I'm going to put the money in and ever try it if it's not. But if I'm just getting it because I'm getting Game Pass already, I'll check it out.
Yeah, I mean, why not, right? It'll probably be confusing as hell, but
sure,
I'm sure it could be entertaining. So I'd love to get your perspective on it. It'd be pretty cool. You'd be like, I just have a very neutral and objective look at this game. No attachments. Here's my experience. It'd be very interesting.
I know what Warcraft is. I saw the South Park Warcraft episode. Like, I was able to get a lot of the references because a lot of the references were things that are across video games, like terminology and things like that. But even then, I was like, I bet if I knew what Warcraft was, I'd find this even funnier.
I found that episode, I as soon as it was done, I got on the phone with my friend who I played that with. I'm like, did you see it? He goes, I was watching it too, man. And we just nerded out. It was so funny. There was so many inside jokes and all this sort of stuff, and it was phenomenal. And I got every one of them. So I imagine now, I'm just now connecting that to how someone could watch like something like Detective Pikachu and be like, oh my God, this is so cool. I'm like, I get it now.
I was losing my mind when I saw that movie.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Oh, yeah. When the trailer came out, I watched it like 30 times that day. I was like pausing it on frames, like, oh, look, there's that one.
Yeah, right? Exactly. All that stuff. Probably watching Ready Player One. I know there's like some Pokemon references in there too and stuff like that. So who knows? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know.
Well, Jared said they announced Detective Pikachu 2, so I guess that's going to be a thing that's coming out.
Yeah, Jared, where's your source? You fucking liar.
He is a day ahead of us, so he might have information we don't get. I don't know.
I think they're doing a game. Pokemon fans thought we were getting.
Oh yeah, that's what it said.
Apparently, it's in development, but I think the game is in development. I think the movie is not.
Well, what do you think about that, Jared?
They're doing there's a development for the game, but the movie is they never greenlit one, which I'm think is because Netflix instead greenlit a Pokemon live action TV show.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they're not doing a sequel to the movie, which, quite frankly, it would be hard to do a Detective Pikachu sequel because the detective is no longer in Pikachu. So it would be a very different movie for the sequel.
Yeah, I just...
Wait, the detective is no longer in Did Pikachu
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, well, Pikachu and the detective had to play, Dan 101, if you will. Is what happened there. The detective was inside Pikachu. Rule 34 is what I'm referencing.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
There you go. No more spoilers. That cleared that up.
Pikachu made a visit to Uncle Doug's puzzle basement is what happened.
Yes, he did.
And then he lost the game.
You found the flashlight instead of the flashlight. Yep. Dun, dun, dun.
Speaking of Uncle Doug's puzzle basement and things that live inside of Doug, I'm rusty, Doug. I've been off for 2 weeks.
It's all right.
You got the questions, we got the answers. All you do is ask. Practical, 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 practical. Ask Practical Doug.
It is that time again for Ask Practical Doug. For those of you who are new to this segment, there's a small Doug that lives inside the larger Doug. That small Doug is known as Practical Doug, and he helps steer Big Doug in most of life's decisions. And our fans get to ask Practical Doug any question they want. So if you would like to ask Practical Doug a question, you can jump on social media and even hashtag Ask Practical Doug. You can jump into our Discord. You can join us live here when we stream on Tuesdays, and you can ask in the chat. Today's question comes all the way from tomorrow. Jared in Australia is asking, Practical Doug, how early should you pack for a trip? For example, if you're going interstate for a week, how far ahead would you pack for an international trip?
That's a great question, Jared, and thank you for asking. For me, it's Practical Doug. I like to get all of the things that I don't need packed, right? Because I don't like to rush. I don't want to forget something. I want to make sure that I have everything lined up. And I've done this before, where I wait to the last minute. I'm just throwing stuff because I don't know. I like to say I'm a typical dude. I don't need much. My packing is usually done very quickly. I don't have hair, so I don't have to worry about shampoo or a lot of that sort of stuff. So it's pretty easy. Nice. It's pretty easy for me to pack for stuff. But especially for something like a weekend trip, it's pretty easy. Throw a couple things in a bag, bing bang boom, you're done. Interstate for a week, no big deal. International, different story, right? Because you got a lot more things to consider. You got to make sure you have your passport. You got to make sure you've got, nowadays it's not as big of a deal. It's like the right currency. You can just use your debit card and shit like that as long as you know what's going on. But there's a lot more that goes into that. You also want to pack light, because you don't want to be carrying around a bunch of shit all the time. So to really get to the crux of this is, if you're doing international, give yourself the time. You don't need your passport. You're not using it every day, so pack it early. Get it in there. Get it done. Figure out what clothes you're not going to wear before your trip that you are going to wear on your trip. Get them in there. Get the shoes in there. Wait. It's like moving. You don't pack up your kitchen stuff until the last minute, right? Because you kind of have to. You need silverware, plates, and all that sort of stuff. But your comic books, those can get packed away. Your DVDs, if you still have them, those could go away. All that stuff that you can just sort of, put in there that's not necessary, put it in there. So I say give yourself, if you're going international, give yourself a couple of days. Make sure you're prepared. Get all that stuff ready to go. If you're going interstate, who gives a shit, man?
Pack all your comic books for when you travel internationally.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what I was...
Okay, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
No, I have a question for Practical Doug, I
Yes.
suppose. Is Practical Doug because you're a practical person, or is this a persona that you take on while you answer these questions?
Both.
Okay, because while you're answering this, I'm like, I don't know, I pack my bag 30 minutes before I have to leave. Like, that is typically how that works.
That's great.
A week early is a level of planning that I can't even fathom.
It's it depends.
It's usually the night before or the day before. Like I'll spend the day kind of throwing things and getting things ready and together. But I feel like a week is definitely far further.
I'll do it in my head the night before. I'll be like, what do I need? All right, cool. I got to remember to grab all that stuff.
It also depends on when you're leaving, right? If you're catching a 6 a.m. flight, or something like that. I want to make sure my shit's ready to go. I don't want to have to wake up and be like, oh, what did I forget? Sort of thing. So yeah, I think the night before is fine. It should definitely be good to go the night before, so that everything else in the morning is easy peasy. It's like there's some sort of thought process of whatever if you have something to do, write it down so that you don't have to store it in your brain to think about it all the time, so that you remind yourself not to forget. It's like write it down somewhere so it's like it's captured. And then when you're ready to go back, you'd be like, what do I need to do? It's on a list. You check it off. Because I do that all the time with groceries. I screw myself over. I'm like, oh, I need sesame oil. I'll remember that. I don't.
Right.
Instead of writing it on my list immediately.
That's where I text my partner. I'm like, and what do we need again? It's when I can just open my text messages and then I can look at everything, because I have written things down. Like, I cannot forget this. So I'll write it down, and then I forget to write it down because I don't write anything down. So then it gets lost. But if I put it in a text message, I'll text it to myself sometimes. I'll be like, I got to remember this later. And I just text myself. I'll leave it unread, which I hate doing. Just so that I know it's there. I know it's there because I have a notification. I don't want any notifications.
Those red bubbles. Oh, those red bubbles. I hate those so much.
I can't stand them. Yeah, same. And see, for groceries, I have a Trello list. I don't know if you're familiar with Trello, but it's like I have a card that is just a giant list of food that I typically get. And so I just always leave them there. And when I go through, I just uncheck everything that I need to get for that week, and then check it again as I get it. So instead of like painstakingly being like, what do I need this week? I need eggs again. I need bread. I'm like, no, just uncheck eggs, bread, and everything like that. So it's a lot. And I have it categorized by like where things are in the store, like what's in the deli, what's in the freezer section. So I can easily go as I'm going and collect things, because I'm a nerd.
So, Christian, to answer your question about is Practical Doug a persona or really inside of him, there you go.
Yeah, because while he's answering that, I'm just like, it's a much better system than when like I'm hungry and then I'll go to the grocery store and I'll buy like the 50 things I don't need, and then I forget to buy the thing I should have gotten because I was hungry.
Done that too many times.
My father-in-law, I think he is expert level, pro level packer. He knows how to go on a trip. I have traveled with him on many occasions to various local and international and different parts of the country. Again, short distances, long distances, and international. Every single time doesn't matter how long it is, he fits everything he needs into a duffel bag, a backpack, like a rucksack, and he puts it over. Never fucks with checked bags. Never has to fuck with any. Wow. He is the most efficient traveler I have ever met in my life, and I strive to one day be as efficient as he is.
That's impressive.
I've never seen someone. I'm like, you have everything you need. He's like, yep, it's all good. I'm like, I disagree, and then he Mary Poppins it. He just pulls this shit out, and it's amazing. It is amazing. So if you want, you look him up online. He has minimal social media presence, but he's there. You can find him. Go find him. I'm not going to give you his name. You got to
go make like a TikTok with him where he shows how he packs his bag.
That would be amazing.
That might be the way to go. Yeah.
But don't make a board game based on his basement, because it would be one location and the person would win once they get there.
Exactly.
Everything's in the bag.
So well.
It would be a really boring game.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to play this character. You can't play that character. It's like playing Bo Jackson in Tecmo Super Bowl. You're cheating.
The best part is, though, if he's like, we'll talk to him and like, oh, you got a week until if he's going somewhere. Got a week until you're going somewhere. He's like, yep, I'm all packed. I'm like, you are so efficient. It's amazing. It is amazing. Yeah.
Jared said my ex was packing while we were waiting for the Uber for an international flight. That gives me such anxiety.
I don't like that at all.
I don't like that at all.
And that's the way that you broke up.
That's a step too far for even me.
Yeah.
If it's an international flight. If I had an international flight, it'd be the first time I actually got to the airport like more than like 2 hours before.
Yeah.
And that would be the one time where I'm like, all right, I'm going to follow all the rules because you don't want to fuck this up.
Yeah, my mom was very prolific at following the rules and suggested times so we would always be at the airport like 2.5 hours before our flight. I remember being like, why are we here? And when I got older, I'm like, I'm going to get there an hour and a half early. And I'm like, look, nothing happened. It's totally fine.
And I still have time for the bar.
Exactly. Like, it's just, brutal stuff. And unfortunately, that was imprinted on me.
I'm way too. I worry way too much about that. So I
Yeah.
leave myself a solid 2 hours, if not more. And I'm like, you know what? I really don't care. Like I got books. I got my phone. I'll wander up. I'll hit the bar. Whatever. Like I'll figure out something to do.
Gotta give my mom credit. You know what we never did? Never missed a flight.
Bingo.
Whenever I travel solo, I get to LAX sometimes like 45 minutes before the flight.
Nice.
And I'm just like,
LAX.
I'm kind of going a little bit fast. Like, I'm doing a fast walk. But whenever I fly solo, this is like the ultimate white male privilege thing. I always get pulled, and they're like, just go through the fast line. Like every time. I don't pay for it, and they're always they're like, every now and then they go through and they pull off people, and they're like, are you alone? I'm like, yeah. They're like, you could go. And I like look like at some of the people behind me. I'm like, they must be so they fucking hate me right now.
That's amazing. I love
it. There's a good chance that those people would want to meet you in an arena.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we were going to theme song what that might look like. It would be
Welcome to the Throwdown.
All right.
Hell yeah.
We've arrived.
Welcome to the Throwdown. This is your first time here. We take two things, put them into an arena, and we debate which one would come out alive. And this week, cold from our very special council of elders, we have... We've got Sam Fisher from the Clancy Splinter Cell universe versus James Bond. It says in parentheses, classic, ? Their word, not mine. I don't know what that means. But apparently, what do you mean, like Sean Connery? Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah,
I think we're talking like not Daniel Craig, not like,
Sure.
Again, like parkour.
Yeah,
actual
Daniel
badass,
Craig might be a little too close to what Fisher
Gotcha.
was, I guess. But it kind of doesn't matter which Bond you pull. They all have. Bond is one character.
Yes.
But we'll stay Brosnan and earlier. We won't include Craig. I don't know if that's what.
I think that's probably what I'm gathering from this on this website that we're about to go to once again, versusbattles.fandom.com, that will break this down. They have, the Connery's Bond, Moore's Bond, Lazenby's Bond, and Dalton's Bond. So they have it separated by categories. But
I just last year on a show I did, which like this is another show that like we put on hiatus from time to time, just because with a lot of my friends that live in LA, we work in production, so it's our schedules change all the time. So we'll be like, all right, we're gonna do this season, and then we're gonna come back to it. I did a show called Watch World. The last thing that we watched and discussed, we did all the James Bond movies. So
ooh.
I definitely have that down. I've played a couple Splinter Cell games, so I have a good idea of what Fisher is capable of.
Well, this is perfect.
Yeah, I have a question about this. So is this just a fight to the death style thing, or is this who is better? Like, what are you trying to determine in the arena?
It's a great question. So we used to set these up with some sort of story, like how they would end up in arena, but that kind of, gets convoluted and more of a stretch at times. So what we kind of do is we say that these two characters in this situation, these two guys meet into an area, an arena, and they are going to be fighting to the death. And the idea is basically, with all of their skills, with all of their, intellect, their abilities, their gadgets, everything they have at their disposal, who would win? And sometimes we break it down to like, this is really close, but we think that most of the time, if you were to run a simulation, the majority of the time we think this person would win.
Okay.
So
Another big key too is that I would say the majority of the time, these people don't realize that they're going to be battling. So it's not like they've had a week to prepare strategy or
lay traps.
We've had Batman battle before, and it's like, well, if Batman was ready, he's got a contingency plan for everything. So these people are just kind of thrust into this. Maybe they round a corner and they each bump into each other and they take it as a personal insult, and then they fight each other to the death.
Yeah.
Okay.
As one does.
So
that's a very different. It depends, And so having it just, you're like, all right, we're giving both of these guys like peak performance is conceptually what we're talking about here.
Yes.
I think then it's easier to say James Bond as a whole. I think it's weird to exclude Daniel Craig because it almost sounds like the question asker then thinks that the Daniel Craig person would win. Otherwise, why would you exclude them?
Mm-hmm.
Which then it's like, we're not putting James Bond at his best version. So it's like, should we exclude the best version of Splinter Cell like Sam Fisher? I don't know what the point of that is, that exercise. Like maybe if they had specifically been like the George Lazenby Bond, like I want to know if this Bond could beat him or not. But sure, we won't include Daniel Craig. It doesn't really matter if we don't have him, because it's going to be a very close fight, kind of no matter what happens.
Well, I'd say the elders are here watching right now. So if they want to, in the chat while we go into this debate, if they want to explain what they meant by classic, their word, and it says classic, their word, not mine. So
yeah,
there's always a little bit of drama with the elders, the Council of Elders. They like to infight a little bit, and see,
yeah.
And the chat goes, Noah goes, Seth, you always do this. There was no intent. Include Daniel Craig.
So let's start with old Sam Fisher here, because I know Splinter Cell exists. I know he's a spy and assassin of sorts, but I don't really know what he's good for. That didn't come out. I don't know what he's good for. I don't know.
What are you even good for?
What's he even good for?
So here's the thing about him that's interesting is the biggest difference between the two of them is kind of how they come at what their mission is. Sam Fisher is built around covert ops.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like a CIA special agent, and that's where he has his training, I believe. It makes you wonder, because the games, it is very important for you to say stealth. I haven't played all of the games, so I think some of them maybe you can be less stealth than others. But you don't want to be seen, and that actually could cause you to fail. So that one could argue, like, is that points against Sam Fisher? Because if he's not capable of just like walking in the front door like James Bond is, and kind of like throwing a one-liner in and being cocky about like showing up, even though the odds always seem stacked against him, where Sam Fisher has to like crawl through the darkness at night and hopefully not be seen by his enemies for him to accomplish the goal. It makes you wonder like how capable Sam Fisher is, because their training should be similar. Like James Bond is, I can't remember. He's either like he might be a commander, but he is in the military. So he's military trained. He got very high up in the military. And then he went to MI5, and then he became, special secret agent James Bond, whereas Sam Fisher went through the CIA. So he's not SEAL Team 6. He's not like the best kind of like military infiltration that America has, whereas James Bond is peak UK. So you kind of want to figure out who's coming from whose side there. But I kind of want to see, do you have a list of like what kind of kit Sam Fisher has?
Sure.
Because the thing that would really make this lopsided, in my opinion, is what his bulletproof capabilities are of his suit, because I think he probably is able to withstand more shots to his body.
That's interesting.
If I had to guess.
It doesn't. Let's see here, because sometimes it will list what their equipment is. It doesn't list anything specific. It does reinforce what you say, that he's a stealth master. Excluding characters with perfect invisibility or supernatural powers, Sam Fisher is arguably one of the greatest stealth artists in all of fiction. Athletic ability and parkour skills, expert hand-to-hand combat, master marksman, which I think is very good. He's also, as far as like, I think this, here we go, weapons and equipment. 5.7 pistol. I think this lists probably all the things that he can potentially use. I'm not going to go through these fucking, the SC-20K, MAWS, SC-NAF, multivision goggles, Karambit, Panther's Claw combat knife. Jesus Christ. I mean, some people are out there getting just giant hard-ons right now hearing all this sort of stuff.
Stun gun.
Sticky EMP.
He has a Kevlar woven into his suit.
Okay. That's also...
His suit's made of Gore-Tex, Kevlar, and some kind of additional shielding. So he does...
That is pretty important.
More... Yeah, protection. Now, I believe, and I'm looking it up, but I believe James Bond has had body armor within or under his suits. But it's usually like he'll wear it, like you'll see it.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's like his jacket looks bulky, and then like he'll open it after he got shot, and it's like, oh, there's like, he has the Kevlar vest on. But he's not necessarily going to have it, but with this being the arena, I'm assuming he should have that, right? Like he should have his best gear.
I would think that these two probably entered into this area, right, whatever it is, and they are prepared for combat. They don't know what they're going to be doing. But so, yeah, I'd say they have all their best stuff on. It would make sense that Sam Fisher would be equipping what he would normally go on with a mission, so he would have his armor. I would imagine James Bond would have some sort of protection because he's not going in to charm the pants off people, literally or otherwise. He's going into, to combat, more or less. So, this is honestly a really good matchup, I think. I think just intelligence-wise, this site lists James Bond is gifted.
He's very smart, depending on his depiction.
Yes.
Roger Moore is my favorite depiction of his espionage skills and his smarts, because he does the most like pretending to be someone who's like a scientist, and he goes to a thing and he was able to like memorize everything he'd need to know to talk to like one of the top scientists without being caught out like the other. So like not all the Bonds are quite as smart, but peak Bond as far as intelligence would be like that. Sam Fisher, of course, is going to be smart, but it's like all battle tactics, right?
Exactly. He's a veteran of various military operations and has conducted missions all throughout the world, and has a wealth of experience in all manners of warfare. So, yeah, he's very intuitive to his environment. So I see him as very reactive, but also I think between he and Bond, it's kind of almost a wash in that regard, right? Because they've both seen some shit.
Right. So this is where right now my first instinct is, because the arena should remove all variables, right? Like, and I feel like environmental variables are the thing that would give Sam Fisher the edge to win.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's like, if he was like, I can knock the lights out and then like I can sneak up behind you because I have the night vision goggles. Like Bond has stuff like that too, but he has like, to pull from his gadgets when he needs them, and it's always kind of like spur of the moment where Sam Fisher could plan around that kind of thing, and that would benefit him. But if it's like you're in a cage match, you guys can't like it's like a force field, right? Like it's just like, because they can't interact with the environment to like gain an advantage, right. Then I feel like one of two things would happen. Bond is either going to win in the first 30 seconds or he's going to lose, is what I think.
Interesting.
Because Sam Fisher is just going to he has more body armor. He's more of a killer than Bond is. And he's going to have bigger, stronger guns than James Bond is going to have. But James Bond has the element of surprise of insane gadgets that don't appear to be weapons. And he basically, I think, has about 30 seconds to pick one of those gadgets and just wipe out Sam Fisher before Sam even understands what was happening. That's sort of the way I see this going.
And we hope that he has a gadget that is capable of doing that, because a lot of it, sometimes he's equipped with gadgets that are more recon oriented instead of actual defensive. Yes. So if he's got his little, nuke ring where he can just fire a tiny little nuclear missile out of his ring, then he's going to win.
If he's got his Polaroid camera and he goes to take a picture, but it also shoots a laser at him and he's dead, Sam Fisher is going to be like, oh, do you want this to send to your family so they can see the face of your murderer? And then Sam Fisher's on the floor. Like, if they're fighting, in Uncle Doug's basement, Sam Fisher's going to win. For sure.
That's part of the game. If you take the wrong turn, you find Sam Fisher in Uncle Doug's puzzle basement. Because he's just waiting on the ceiling.
He's just fucking a fleshlight.
That's his R&R. That's his time off from between missions. He goes to Uncle Doug's puzzle basement.
I think that while Bond's skill set is much broader, and if the two of them were to go on an espionage mission, I would give it to Bond. If they were going head to head on an espionage mission, Bond hands down without a shadow of a doubt. I just feel like, because Bond's skill set is so broad, I feel like Fisher's skill set is a little bit more narrow. Fisher goes in with the intent to take out, right? More or less.
But here's the thing you have to remember. The 00 agents are literally given a license to kill because they are so good at it. They're the only ones, like, he can kill pretty much anyone, and the state government's going to okay it.
Back him up on
Sort
it,
of how that goes. And like when you watch like Bond, anytime they have like training things, anytime he's like even like slightly missing the target, it's like, oh my God, can you believe he didn't hit a bullseye like 10 out of 10 times? Like he is meant to be like the perfect killing machine in a way. It's just that that's meant to be sort of like the last case scenario for Bond. He's supposed to be able to solve problems without doing it.
Charm
James Bond,
yeah.
James Bond is known for not doing that. That's why like he's always getting in trouble with them. We're not watching the other agents because they're not fun.
Yeah.
Because they're doing boring espionage. And they were like, well, Bond, this one's going to get messy, so you're going.
Right.
Yeah.
When you put a killing machine in a tuxedo, I think that's what it strips the visually. I'm just like, he's a little bit more of a, you know, a high class, you know.
And that's why Bond has 30 seconds. Because Sam Fisher's going to look at him. He's like, I've killed a million dudes in suits, like whatever. Like, and he's like, which one of these guns do I want to use? And while he's taking that moment, that is Bond's chance to attack. But after that, like even if Bond has a Kevlar suit, he doesn't have like a full body suit. He doesn't have the same range of weapons. And although Bond has great athleticism, it's not going to be quite as Sam Fisher does much more parkour and stuff. It's like, yes, Craig can do that stuff, but Sam Fisher's going to win on pure strength. But Bond has like the element of surprise.
That's interesting.
That's where he could win.
That is interesting.
I like that. Even in with no environment, and these guys are sent to fight, he's still given the advantage of the element of surprise because that's who he is.
I mean, that's why his movies are always compelling, right? Because he goes up often against these guys who are stronger than him, but he tends to beat them. He finds a way to win, but that's usually using like the environment or like tricks or things like that. Which is why in this moment, his one trick he has is Sam Fisher, and then he's gonna be like, "What? You want me to kill? Like, what is this? Just like some millionaire guy from England? Like, what is it? What is this, the royal?
Yeah.
Like, okay, sure, why not? Like, which gun? Because he's got a lot of guns. He's got a lot of guns. Got a lot of goggles. He's gonna be like, what do I want to look at this in X-ray so I can watch his
my
bones
lens?
Yeah.
Do you think? Let me ask you. Or sorry, Doug.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you think that Bond would? Because in a lot of we don't often see when Bond is going up against someone that is formidable, we don't often see him take them out in under 30 seconds. Usually there is maybe a 2-minute fight that ensues or a little bit of a struggle, right? So do you think in like a henchman, Bond takes them out, no problem. But so I would put him up, I would put Fisher up in the formidable foe category. And because we really haven't seen Bond take out a ton of people in under 30 seconds that aren't nameless henchmen, I feel like that might give it back to Fisher a little bit.
Well, keep in mind, often Bond is usually up against like significantly more people than himself. Okay. So he usually can't fight that guy until he takes out his like 30 like dudes that he brought with him first. Is like, you know, and Sam Fisher has the same problem, which is why Sam Fisher's like, well, I'm going to go about it differently, and I'm going to sneak in and take out all those guys one by one and get the element of surprise on the guy that I'm going after. So whereas James Bond's like, I'm going to kick the door in and just fight everybody until I get up to them. But that I think the other thing to keep in mind is I'm only really think Bond can win at the beginning because of his gadgets, because he does have gadgets that are capable of killing.
Right.
They're almost never used for that in the movies because they're used in creative ways. It's actually like sort of like a red herring. They give you this gadget and you're like, oh, there's so many cool things you can do with that. But then they make him, because they're often one-time use, he has to use it to get out of this scenario that like it's a clever way of using that device that you wouldn't have thought about. Like you'd think the laser watch is going to be used to murder someone, right? Like why not? But instead I'm going to have to cut through this steel floor so I can get out of this train before it explodes.
Right.
Like so that's, if he has those gadgets, that's why he can win, like at the start of the fight. But I really don't think he has a chance outside of that, because even like all of his evasion gadgets are going to be rendered useless by Sam Fisher's goggles. So if Sam Fisher can survive the first 30 seconds of that fight, I don't think James Bond can win it, is where I think it ends up in.
What I'm hearing is there's a lot of contingencies here for Bond to win. So to me, that's like there's a lot of, well, if this and if this and if this, then he could win.
Well, no, like I think the first 30 seconds of the fight is the only place Bond can win.
Yeah.
But I also think it's stacked in his favor early in the fight.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. because then it's just a gunfight. Neither
Yeah.
of these guys have abilities, right? Neither of these guys have superpowers, and one has body armor all over and the other doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's just like the element of surprise will
Yeah.
dictate a James Bond win, and otherwise Sam Fisher's going to win by just purely they're both just made of meat.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Sam Fisher on this one just because of his wealth of experience. It seems like I said, Bond would have to pull off that perfect, first 30 seconds with the right weapons.
Well, he has a lot of tools, but there's only one scenario where Bond wins.
Exactly. So
sure.
he cannot mess up at all. So I think in this situation, if you were to run the scenario 100 times, I think Sam Fisher's going to come out on top on the majority of those.
Yeah, it's entirely possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to give it to Sam Fisher. So we're going to go Sam Fisher for the win!
That was amazing, Christian.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like you were the perfect.
One of the most intellectually well debated throwdowns we've ever had.
And not that I was like, Christian, tell me more. Break this down more because you have a good grasp on this. It was really well done, man. It was so great.
When we do UFC, it's not who's the best fighter, it's who's the best character. So fighting is a part of the conversation. But
okay.
I just felt like there are death battles and things like that, and
Sure.
so I was like, I just wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
Especially because then I can use characters that have no fighting capability. It's like they're gonna lose if they fight, but everything else about this character is so much more interesting, like their history, their impact on pop culture.
Like Jubilee, totally losing a fight, but
Yep.
God damn it, she's interesting, right, Justin?
She's cool as hell.
Yeah.
Wolf.com.
But
Jubilee wins 10 out of 10 times.
whenever we talk about fights, the thing I would do is we'd just do 3 scenarios. We'd have to do them a little bit faster because we'd do multiple in the episode, but it would be a cage match like this where there's and everyone is like at peak like baseline, and then you do a who would win in James Bond world and who would win in Sam Fisher's world is what we would also do.
Interesting.
So then we'd be like, okay, well, if it's kind of a wash or we feel like it's going one way or the other, we wouldn't really give the edge to either. But in just this scenario, I would agree. It's got to go Sam Fisher.
Yeah.
But James Bond, he'll win some of those coin flips.
Of course. Yeah,
He'll win
absolutely.
some.
He'll
It's
pull
not
them
all of
off. Just not enough. Not enough to be the victor.
Yeah.
This was great. This is the part of the show, Christian, where we essentially just promote all your stuff, your socials and everything like that. And also, if you have a recommendation for people to check out, whether it's a podcast, a TV show, a song, a book, a comic, a movie, whatever, what should people be checking out? Start with where people can find you.
Well, I'm at Christian_Humes, or you could go to Unranked Podcast on Twitter and go to our Discord and all that stuff. But the show that I was just on, You Can't Make That Anymore, that just came out yesterday, the episode that I was on, and I do James Bond. So if you want to hear me talk, and I have us do Live and Let Die, which is arguably the best James Bond song. But that is the most cancelable movie I've ever seen in my life. That movie is an absolute. It's also the only James Bond that has supernatural elements, real we're talking psychics, predicting like not even psychic, it's more like foresight, with tarot cards, and a guy who literally is killed and turns into a clay statue and comes back again. It gets really there's voodoo. It gets very weird.
Writers were dropping acid in that room.
Yeah.
They were like, what else can we do?
It's so entertaining to watch this movie if you've never seen it, just out of the absolute audacity of it. It is unbelievable. So I would say go listen to that, because that just came out yesterday, so that's perfect.
That's so cool. That's awesome. Justin, what do you got to recommend?
I'm trying to make my way through all the Oscar movies before the Oscars hit later this month, and I just finished The Power of the Dog. So I would say give that a watch. Benedict Cumberbatch, Jesse Plemons, Kirsten Dunst, Netflix. It's definitely Drew's. I can't remember who the director was, but Drew said, because I started watching it and I got pulled away, and I was like, I don't know, man. I feel like I jumped into the middle of a movie and I'm supposed to have backstory and I'm confused. He goes, just give it time. Anything you're confused about will be answered. He said this director is known for more art house films, and this is probably the most mainstream, approachable one that you're going to find in their catalog. And I'm like, great. That gave me all the knowledge I needed. and I jumped back in and thoroughly enjoyed the movie.
Awesome.
Acting, just every one of the actors is amazing. Cumberbatch is a fucking tour de force. I love him as an actor. And,
So good.
It's such a great. It's a really good movie. So beautifully shot. So go watch that movie on Netflix.
Nice.
Doug, what do
How's
you got?
his accent?
I thought it was. I was fine with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I personally think that we actually lose a lot of his range in Doctor Strange by them not just letting him. I wish they had just let him keep his UK accent.
Yeah.
Like I wish, but hopefully, because this should be like Southwestern, right?
Yeah, I would say.
His
I think
accent?
it's in Montana or Wyoming,
okay.
but it's still he's got a drawl.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, he it wasn't anything that I thought. I thought he pulled. There's a quiet rage in him that.
Okay, awesome, cool.
Through.
Then I definitely want to check that out.
Yeah, Doug, what do you got?
I'm going to recommend something that's super relevant. I just watched this 2 weekends ago. Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Yes,
Finally saw it.
yes.
Yeah,
Damn it.
good
I
movie.
finally got around to seeing it. I liked it. I thought it was great. I know, Justin, you thought it was one of the worst Marvel movies. Is I think what you told me. Is that right?
I don't. Was I super drunk or?
No,
I don't
you were
remember
like,
that,
it was
but
okay. But I was like,
I don't
okay.
remember seeing that at all. Okay.
He just got back from the basement.
Yeah. It's
I was
Yeah.
dangerously dehydrated at
It was
that
like,
time.
I don't know, man.
For
I wanted to see the light. I didn't want to be in the dark anymore. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. A portion of it was
I thought it was
spoiled
good, too.
for me before going in. I mean, there's only so much you could handle for it being
Yeah.
out for 3 months almost at that point to, not have anything spoiled. But I really liked it. I'm excited to buy it and watch it with my family because I did not see that with them. So
I'm very excited to see it without people coughing in the background.
yeah, I tell you, that was the first movie I'd been to
Where it was recorded.
in a while, and there was a woman that got up and turned on the flashlight on her phone to like find her way to the stairs that were, and she just did that in and out. I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, I realized I'm like, oh, I hate people. Seeing movies with strangers sucks. But other than that, I definitely enjoyed it. Also, the 20 minutes of goddamn previews and commercials. I'm like, oh my God, this is awful. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's like the last time I'm like, all right, this is the one. And then it's like an ad for recruiting for the theater. I'm like, guys, no, that's not the last thing we see before we start the movie. Come on. Like, but anyway, yeah, Spider-Man: No Way Home. Go check it out. It's worth it. It's coming out in digital in March this
Hell yeah.
month. It's going to be great.
The fact that they brought Tony Stark back from the dead in that.
Oh, I know.
I'm sorry, spoiler, but I mean, the fact that they brought him back was amazing.
I thought the space vampire moment was also very cool. So,
Absolutely.
I thought his new fleshlight suit was a little weird, but
hey, you know what though? Innovative.
It works. Yeah.
Nanotech is it's the wave of the future, Oh, Christian, this was an absolute delight having you here. Thank you so much
thanks for having me. It was great.
For hanging out with us. And please don't forget to check out Mind Gap on all social medias at Mind Gap Podcast. Check out our live streams on our YouTube page, youtube.com/MindGapPodcast. Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Central for the podcast. Saturdays at 8 p.m. for the video game live stream hosted by me. And also, don't forget to check out Justin online as well.
On Instagram and Twitter at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it while you're in the online realm. Check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and all the places where you can consume fine podcasts. Go ahead and rate us, review us, and share us and all the things that you can do. All those things do help. You may not think they do, but they go a long, long way. We really appreciate it. And then keep an eye on all of 2 East 8th's social medias, and then check out 2east8th.com for news and new content.
Yes. All right. And with that being said, Christian, thank you for hanging with us. This was wonderful.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Justin, thank you.
Douglas, thank you.
Chat, thank you.
Listeners, thank you.
And you all have a dandy fucking week. And that's the show. Yay!
All right.
We
That's
did
great.
it. Whew. Chat, you guys were great. Thank you so much. Thank you to the council, and your little banter in the middle of that was wonderful. So thank you to Jared. Thank you to Wolf. Thank you to Slotty. Thank you to Noah. Thank you to Zinni. Thank you all for hanging out with us. This was great. And please check out Unranked. Check out Christian's his new game that's coming out. Please do. It's worth it. Support people here. Damn it. God damn it. Support each other. And with that, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for hanging us, and we'll catch you later. And